Hey everybody, my name is Spike. I'm the commander of the Iron Horse Militia here in Ontario, Canada. We're a Milsim Airsoft team, and today's point of this, or the point of today's video, is going to be the standard loadout of our team. So this is more meant for people who are new to the team, who I've directed to this channel. But if you're not part of the team, it doesn't really matter. You can take what you will out of this video and enjoy for what I'm about to describe to you of these points and whatnot. First I'll start with footwear. One of the most important things that I think is footwear. If you can't go anywhere, then you're pointless. What we like to run is we like to run Canadian Forces combat boots. We find that they're very useful and they're very practical. We don't have anything against shoes. Once again, if you join, you can not choose to wear boots, but we would highly suggest against that because it's good against holding up against water. By the way, Canadian Forces combat boots, as high up as the boot goes, that's as waterproof as it is. So they're sealed all the way up. I'm not wearing mine right now because I'm inside, but I would assure you that they are very comfortable as long as you get the right size. And they're very easy to maintain. If they get dirty, you can just hose them off and then blacken them with some shoe polish and they'll look good as new. So they're a lot easier to maintain that way. You don't have to worry about putting them in the wash or washing them or doing anything like that with them or any particular thing. It's just pretty easy maintenance of the boots. So that's why I like them. A lot of our guys were in Army and Air Cadets, like myself. I was in Army Cadets. So I guess maybe my opinion is a bit biased towards the boot, but I really enjoy it and I find that it's worked in all the years that I've worn it. So there's that footwear out of the way. But as I said again, you can choose whatever footwear you want, but we just suggest sticking with boots. Another thing that I'll talk about is what we call our base layer, which is our BDUs. We chose Cryptek Mandrake. We voted that in by finding it. We think it works. We think it works best for the area that we live in, and also maybe some other areas that are less green, maybe more like some arid places like that. Our color coordination was mostly voted in, so we've decided Cryptek Mandrake as the first thing. We're like, okay, we want this as a base layer because it's pretty unique and it's quite practical, we find, and it's not too expensive for where we got it from. But we thought that if we went all Cryptek Mandrake, it might be quite expensive. So we kind of voted on that and found the top two and kind of came down to Coyote Brown for the rest of it, but I will get into that later. So essentially, I guess going from the boot to the pant, we tuck our pants into our boots. We find that that keeps out a lot of crap. That's a thing that some of us learned from being in Army and Air Cadets, from the branches of the military, learning about that. And it keeps crap out, and I think it looks a lot nicer as well. I mean, it's not necessarily what we're necessarily going for is looking nicer, but it's more practical than not. So that's what we do, and I find it's more comfortable as well, but I guess I'm just used to it. Once again, going back to the top, it's also Cryptek Mandrake. We have certain spots for patches on our panels here, on our shoulders. So when we get our team patch, it'll be going on this big one here. We're not sure if we're going to put another Canada patch on this side like we did here, but this is kind of a standard kind of layout for patches. So if you want to know, just look at one of the senior NCO members of the teams or myself, how I have my patches laid out. Follow it pretty much as close as you can and you should be fine. We do have some rules for patches and stuff like that. But yeah, when we get rank patches, which we will be doing hopefully shortly, we will be putting them here below the Canada one. We're not trying to impersonate or disrespect any Canadian Forces military, but we just as a team find that it's best that we do that in order to structure ourselves and kind of create a system of order in the group. So that's why we'll be doing that. So essentially, going on from that, from those patches and kind of the base layer, I'm going to go into what we call the armor layer. So with the armor layer, I don't know if you can see, but I have a drop light here with 4 grenade pouches. It does have a grenade in it, with a grenade in it, a 40mm. And that's kind of more for frags or smokes or anything like that, or a 40mm if I have one. And going up from that onto my actual belt, on my pants, I have a dump pouch for my extra mags that I've spent, as well as on my back here I have a saw and rubber knife for close quarters situations. Moving on off that, I have my, it's a battle belt, but I like it floating. I find that with all the other stuff on my actual belt, it kind of gets all contorted in there, and it usually has a tendency, if it's on me, it's probably going to fall down. So I put it above my hips so my hips can kind of keep it up. But on that battle belt, I really only have a canteen at the moment. So there's that there, you can see that. Moving on from the battle belt, I'm going to go up to my JPC. Now, something I'd like to talk about first is an IFAC. Mine is quite large, but that was from when I was the team lead medic as well as the commander at the same time, which is a little stressful, and I wouldn't suggest it to anybody else if you want to start a team to be a medical individual and a command or part of the staff of your team. I find it's quite irritating, but that's kind of why mine is so large. It was to keep extra items in there for my guys. But essentially, with this, yours doesn't have to be this large when you get it. But one of the rules that we have is that you actually have real world supplies in there, at least something. If you've joined the team and you know about our team personally, then you're going to be getting a sheet that tells you all the required items for being on the team, not just IFAC, but other pieces of kit individually that we would suggest that you have, just in case you're going to need milsim ops or games. But we require that you have it on the left side of your person, so whether that's on your rig itself, like your chest rig, your battle belt, your actual belt, or possibly a drop leg if your first aid kit is small enough. That's essentially what we require of you, so that way it's in a consistent a place generally for every individual, so that way if you come across a team member who's actually injured, you can be like, there's his IFAC, help him out, or her, depending on if you have any female players in the future. But yeah, that's essentially where we keep that. That's a mandatory rule. We ask that you respect that, and just out of consistency, and just so it's a lot easier to help others. As well, going back to this battle belt, I do have a Thunder Bee sound grenade on this battle belt, so I apologize that I forgot that. But anyway, there's that. So going back to the rig, we ask that you have your call sign patch on your admin panel if you have one. If you don't, I can always get you some Velcro to put on there, and we can put it on for you. It doesn't really matter if you have anything else up here. Don't try to go too crazy on the morale patches. I have about 1 or 2 on me, just for laughs and stuff like that, just kind of keep the morale up. But don't go too overboard with morale patches, but you can have them on, but just try and keep them a bit more conservative if you can help it. Don't want too many crazy colors going on. We do try and camouflage ourselves for a reason, but it's all good to have fun. Like, that's why we're here, right? So we don't have a problem with that, but that's kind of where we will ask you to put that, as well as on the back of your helmet have your or your hat. If you don't have a hat that has room for Velcro, or has Velcro on it, sorry, room for a name tape, you can always put it on the back of your rig if you have one back here, or maybe even on your backpack itself, if that has some loop Velcro, so you can just apply that on, just so we know who you are from the back or the front. We know either way. Going on from that, I guess, I don't know who makes this JPC, so I apologize if you want to know. I'm not sure. I think it's just kind of like a generic look that people are going for. So there's that. Comms or something else, staying with the JPC, we use a Baofeng UV5RB. It doesn't matter what type of push-to-talk or headset you wear, as long as you have something either on you or with you that can keep the volume down, just in case you're trying to be covert, that'd be great. But essentially, it doesn't matter what push-to-talk or headset you have, just as long as you have that option to be quiet, that's great. Talking about the backpack, I have some various things in here, some extra BBs, extra gas. I also have a couple extra pieces of first aid gear in there. Not too much else, maybe like some lubrication for my rifle and stuff like that, but shop towel. There's a lot of the other stuff is just kind of creature comforts, just like if we were going to a game. That's what I would like to have on me. You never know. So that's that. Talking about the helmet, we'd suggest you get a helmet. You don't always have to wear a helmet. If you have something like I didn't bring it with me, but if you have like a ball cap that maybe ties in with it, You can have a civilian ball cap as long as it's not too flashy or like really vibrant. That's totally cool. Maybe a bit more of subdued colors is fine. As long as the headwear is acceptable and it ties in with the gear and is believable for a milsim kind of experience, we're totally fine with it. We've kind of made a joke about the limit of craziness is the cowboy hat. That is actually somewhat acceptable to us because it looks pretty badass. But other than that, we don't want to go any more crazy with headwear. So there's kind of that joke that's kind of among us. But we'd ask that you do have a helmet just in case you have the chance of bumping your head. I like wearing a helmet because it also protects against BB hits in the head, which doesn't feel that great. So there's also a patch layout for this, which is if you have a blood type, you can put it up here. So there's mine. Kind of the rule is you can have it up here, or you can also have it up on your rig here. We have our RIN. A lot of people like to call these call signs, but we call them radio identification numbers. When you join the team, I'll give you one. I'll give you a number that signifies your placement in the group. It's not necessarily a term of rank, but it's just kind of the order that people kind of showed up in. Some guys wanted to pick a number out of order, which I guess is fine if you want to. But this kind of, I'll just probably give you a number, and you can put it on the right side of your helmet. And then on the left side of your helmet, put a Canadian flag of some kind. So there's that. Suggest you wear gloves. Always sucks getting shot in the hands. I do have iPro over there, so we do run with iPro. Specifically, full seal is a mandatory thing at the moment. I know that some fields, especially in the States, allow you to have safety glasses, but we ask that if you join the team that you have full seal eye protection to avoid any possibilities of accidents. We'd really appreciate that. Moving on to my primary. This is my KW LM4. It's got, I believe, a 4x zoom scope on it. I just bought I guess it's an optic, but I just bought the optic today. It doesn't have a red dot or anything. It's just some crosshairs in there and stuff like that. I really like this. I find it works well for me. I really like the kick. I like gas guns. I find they're very reliable. Now, something that I notice a lot of our guys are doing is a lot of our guys are running M4s, a lot of AEGs. You can do that too if you wish. It's more of a personal preference if you're joining the team of what weapon you have. But that kind of goes into skill sets. So with skill sets, what I'll usually do, I'll put this aside for a moment. But what I'll usually do is if you're going to join the team, or if you want to join the team, I'm going to ask you a series of questions. If you haven't already went through this process, then this is kind of what's going to happen. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I'm going to find out what you've done in life, whether you're a student, whether you're full-time, whether you work, whether you don't, what's going on, what you like to do in your spare time other than Airsoft, how much experience you have in Airsoft, other hobbies. I guess that kind of goes into what you do other than Airsoft. But stuff like that, any special qualifications that you have, like any certificates or anything like that, or like a lot of our guys were in Army and Air Cadets. A lot of the courses that they went on, I like to know these things. One of our guys did a survival instructors course. I did an air rifle marksmanship instructors course. There's various different things that I'd like to know, so that way I can put you in a proper placement or maybe even give you a suggestion. I'm not going to necessarily tell you the place to go in, but I'm going to say this is kind of where I think you would be good at. Can we try it? And if you don't find you're doing good, or if I don't find you're doing good, or the second in command is in doubt as well, we might switch you around some other things. So that's usually what happens there. So depending on whether you're, originally I was a medic, so I had a Chris Vector KW gas blowback because I found it was also a bit more maneuverable as well. So I could just kind of close it up and toss it to my side and help a guy out, do my thing, and then bring it out again and go. So that's kind of why I got the Chris Vector, because it was very maneuverable. So I would suggest for maybe a medic, maybe getting an SMG. That might be a bit easier for you. Obviously a sniper or a designated marksman is self-explanatory. I guess this could be considered almost a DMR rifle. It's got a bit more of a zoom to it, but it's not, I wouldn't say it's too much really. It's not overly a lot. So specifically, the obvious thing is if you're a support gunner, you're obviously going to get maybe a support, like an actual saw. if you want to purchase one yourself, or if you want to get just a box mag for an M4, you can do that as well. I mean, you can do that, and that works. I've seen different ways of doing that. So, I mean, as I said, a lot of guys are doing M4s, but don't feel entitled to get M4s just because everybody else has them. It's just an easy platform to find, I guess. So I would encourage diversity. I would encourage different types of weapons that are unique. But then again, you go into the problem of, like with me and my KWA LM4, of not being able to exchange mags with the guys. So that could be a problem. It could be a downfall. But then there's a plus to being unique with your weapon and your skill set. So essentially, this is just kind of what we have for our standard loadout for the Iron Horse Militia. And I'd ask that you try and keep as close to it as you possibly can. We don't expect you to buy all this gear instantaneously, but if you can at least try and show us that you're trying to better yourself, even just in training, it'll show us that you want to be here, and that would just really be great. Just so we know we're not trying to, I guess, pour into nothing, so to speak. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope this helped you. Even if you're not a new member, or if you haven't contemplated being a part of our team, if you live somewhere else and you're like, oh, I'm maybe going to take some pieces from this, then that's great. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it's helpful. Also, if anybody wants to give any suggestions on anything that I'm doing here that you find might be strange or weird, if you're real-world military or law enforcement, you have a suggestion, please let us know. We're very thankful for your input, and I hope you guys have a good day. Like, comment, rate, and subscribe, and there should be more videos coming soon. So have a great day, great night, whatever time of day. Enjoy Airsoft and keep going.